What's going on, guys? It's Matt with Mooseman Outdoors. Obviously, you can tell today's episode is going to be based on waterfowl, so my 2023 season. Pretty much going to go over what trial and errors I went over from the beginning of the year, or I should even say the beginning of my first season to my second season, and what the payout was. So, beginning of the year, I ended up getting myself a 2023 Tracker Grizzly. Obviously used it on the open water, but I was able to scope out where I needed to scope out to go duck hunting. So I dropped a lot of pins on the GPS, wrote comments on what I saw, if I saw certain ducks. And definitely something that you have to do to put in the work at the beginning of the year when the ducks finally come back up to the north and check it out. I mean, without the homework, you ain't passing the test. So if you're not going to take the time going out there, you might as well just kind of check out what you can see from shore, especially if you don't have a boat. But nonetheless, you should definitely take a ride, especially around lakes, around ponds and stuff like that, and grab a pair of binoculars and take a look. The second thing that I did was I obviously acquired a bunch of decoys. So mallards being the obviously number one duck that you want to go after, I went out and got Avian X flockhead ones. So I definitely think that having a good quality mallard duck in your spread is going to make a huge difference. So that's definitely something that's needed. I met a guy out in Massachusetts that had a bunch of foam decoys that he had, painted geese decoys. And then he had some scoters, some ducks. And I essentially put them back together and repainted them, and I got goldeneye decoys out of it. I repainted some of my other decoys that I acquired this year, some smaller decoys. I repainted them as bufflehead, just so I can have a good diver spread in case I ever wanted to take the day to go out. Got into different calls this year, got to meet new people. River Rat Custom calls, great people. Ian does an amazing job with his calls, and the quality is just untouchable. I got to meet Mooseman game calls over at the expo the other week here in Essex Junction in Vermont, and Alec does a great job with his stuff. An old company that he's revamping and getting his stuff out there and making a big difference in the game, and that's what's going to carry the generational gap of hunters. That's what we want. There's obviously going to be new, and we just want to keep up with the times of what's out there, and it's not just an old wooden call anymore. There's a lot of new calls out there, and on my lanyard, just to say that, I carry, 3-4 calls at a time. I have my one goose call in case it's, mid-goose season or something, and there's a couple, 3, 4, 5 geese flying, and they want to get them pulled into the spread, throw out the goose call. I mean, I got the zinc goose call, I got a zinc green machine mallard call, and I even got a zinc Drake whistle, and that Drake whistle did so much work for me this year when ducks were being indecisive. So amazing thing to have on your lanyard. I have a field proven call. I did bend up the reeds a little bit at the end of it, kind of like how Duck Commander does theirs. So it definitely plays a little bit of a higher pitch, like a hen mallard, which is amazing, especially for a feeder chuckle. And obviously, like I said, you got to go with the old school Duck Commander call for your mallards. So besides what's on my necklace, I also got went to the local gun shop in town over in Williston, Vermont, called Powderhorn. Great staff. They were very helpful, and they had a great selection on shotguns. Last year I had a Remington, but it was a pump. It wasn't doing what it needed to do. And with the amazing skill and knowledge that they had over at Powderhorn, they were able to get me onto a Beretta Ultima A300, which is a semi, and it's amazing. Like, I absolutely killer accurate. You're able to at least see birds coming from a distance, get yourself ready, follow through, and poke it, and just it's a great gun. Not too heavy, not too light, and very budget friendly. I think I got mine for about $850, something like that. And the camo pattern's amazing too. I mean, you can't go wrong when it matches what you're doing. I believe they had a timber and they had cattail camo, which was amazing. Duck butts, another thing that you want to have in your spread. Mojos came into play this year, and we came out on top. At least in my perspective. I'm no expert. This is only my second year of waterfowl. The first year, I managed to get like 7 ducks, and I felt like king of the world. I actually mounted my first Drake mallard that I've ever shot. It was a 4 curl, And the last duck I got of the year had a band on it, and my buddy Tony also got one. And this year, we came out with a band as well and a geolocator that's right over here. And it was all part of the Eastern Mallard. What was it? The Eastern Mallard Research Cooperator. They gave me a hat for it, which was pretty cool. But unfortunately, the map's not going to come in. They don't know what they're going to do with the data. But at least they gave me an extra keepsake so I can mount it on the hen and get that next to that other drake. So, like I said, a lot of trials and tribulations and trial and error this year. And, I used a piece of a blind that my buddy Aaron, his grandfather, had on a 16-footer. I converted that to a 17-footer for my grizzly. And at first I had a really cool like flap cover so you can like hunt out of the side and have a coverage, but that took off like a sail. So that was one of the things I had to redesign. But I gathered the materials on the spot while we were out goose hunting one day, me and Aaron, and we kept what we could, and I reused it, and it came out great. Hopefully I can add some photos onto the video here today, and you guys can kind of get a visual of what I'm describing. But when it came into harvesting the ducks this year, I think I managed like 25 or 26 ducks and geese. So it was a mixed bag. First one of the season was a wood duck with my buddy Aaron, and we were I was hunting that early morning with my buddy Tony and Lucas, and they got a pair of pintails that morning, which was outstanding because that's not a bird that at least I thought we weren't going to see too many of those up here in Vermont. And then later in that day, me and Aaron went out and we ended up getting a wood duck out of the kayak. She was heading out of the we were in an interior lake, and she was heading out, and then quick U-turn, turned around. And as soon as I did the comeback call, I put my calls down, aimed it, got it, hit the water, hit it one more time, and I bagged my first, another wood duck. That was my first duck of the year. And funny enough, my first duck ever was a hen wood duck as well. So, I love wood ducks, and I'm glad that kind of carried a tradition. Hopefully next year I can do the same. And then next day, I believe me and Aaron go out, and we're kayaking back to a spot. And Aaron looks at me and goes, "Hey, you want a free decoy?" Oh man, bang! Sure as shit, this kid shot a duck. This thing, he thought it was a decoy. It was a mallard. It had a molting head. I have a photo of that too. Hopefully I can add it onto this. And then, we get back to the spot and we're laughing it off. We set up a decent spread, nothing crazy. A couple puddle ducks, a couple mallards. I think I put one mojo out and my lucky pintail. His name's Larry. There was a kid that I bought some off of Marketplace, and he had one random pintail, so I was like, I'm taking that too. So it worked out great. Larry's the mascot. He actually was good luck this year. And sure as shit, pintail comes by, bang, shot that. Me and Aaron, looked at each other, and he goes, "Hey man, you pulled your gun up first or whatever," and went out, paddled, got that. And yeah, man, we walked out with 2 ducks that day. I think the next time I went out, if I was not mistaken, let's see. Excuse me while I get this ready for you guys, just so I can keep my mind right. So after that, I go back to the spot where me and Aaron went to, and I'm set up. I didn't use I used more puddle ducks this time than mallards, but I had a very spread apart, kind of like a bow tie style spread, where I had some ducks here, and then I was able to have like that pitch right in front of me, kind of like a V. And then I had a bunch of teal buzz me. They came right by. I've seen them up high. I'm not good at teal calling. Mallards, geese, stuff like that, I can get down pretty good. But the teal call, I know it's very faint, little quacks. But yeah, no, I had 3 or 4 buzz by. I managed to get one and downed one. Went out and got her, or him. I think it was an eclipsed drake. I have the photo here. I'm almost certain it was an eclipsed drake. Still very early in the season. I believe this was like a couple weeks into October. And then hen pintail comes by, and I shot her. She actually came in with a mallard, and then they split. And she followed through to my opening where I was, and I popped her and came down and got her. So I harvested 2 that day. The Drake teal and the hen pintail. And then my buddy Tyler hit me up to try a northern spot, which was pretty cool. And this was definitely a voyage, to say the least. Quite a distance in the morning, especially when it's pitch blackout and you don't know. When it's a north wind, it's smacking you pretty good. But once we got out to the spot, I mean, we had birds work. It was nonstop. Divers going by, teal coming over. But convincing them to come join us in the spread was the big ticket. So, you know, us going there the first time around, we were able to kind of get an idea of what we wanted to have. And, you know, I threw a lot of feeder decoys out to kind of make it look like a sociable spread. A lot of puddle ducks along the side. The mallards were kind of off to the side. And then I had 4 or 5 geese off on their own at the beginning of the cove. So it kind of formed that U shape. So, you know, bunch of feeders, mallards, puddle ducks. And then right at the top, I had my geese. So, you know, with the north wind coming this way from left to right, they were able to go around and land against the wind into the pocket, and that's exactly what ended up happening with half the ducks at that same spot, which was great. We worked them great with the calls. I probably called, you know, and I switch from one call to another as far as mallard, single read, double read, whatever, just to change the tonality of the duck call. And that really kind of got them to like, hey, what's going on? And, you know, maybe that is a bunch of ducks and there's some motion in the spread. I'm going to go check it out. And if they were feisty, I'd throw the Drake whistle out there and then give them a couple buzzes. And they would turn around just to inspect what we were doing. And then they'd either flare for what reason, I don't know, or, you know, but those are the trial and errors that you need to understand as a duck hunter, is kind of understanding why they flared at that point. So, and then I downed another duck, and in the way to go look at that other duck, I had a Drake mallard that was sitting in a marsh paddy, just hanging out, and it was a classic. Took 2 steps, this duck flared up, and I shot and right down, hit the water. It was done deal. So that was a good day. And then later on in that day, my buddy Tyler managed to get a Drake pintail. Was not full sprig. It was not full color. It was getting there, but like I said, it being October up here in Vermont, it was still very early for them. I feel like once it gets colder in the year and later in the season, they start to get their real colors, and it's gorgeous. The rarity of us seeing that up here would be outstanding. I think there was one gentleman out here in Vermont. I'm not sure if you know his name. You can drop his info on the comments here. But he got one. I believe he was one of the photos on the Vermont Waterfowlers page. It's a group up here that we all stay in contact with. So me and Tyler end up going back to that spot, and same style spread. I kind of changed the mojos out. I kind of put the mojos out a little further. I connected some extra poles that I had. And yeah, that ended up being a huge game changer. I had a lot of ducks that were outside the cove kind of inspect us. You know, we were, like I said, we were kind of pitched back by a beaver dam. And I just had, you know, these birds kind of whip out the tree line out into the open water. And then we were tucked into that cove by the open water. I had one single teal come down that morning, dropped her real quick. Tyler, I don't even think Tyler got out of his seat by the time I shot that duck. And then, awesome enough, we had, I believe it was 1 or 2, but one definitely came down, and the one that I shot, we didn't know what it was for a while. It ended up swimming off, but we chased it. And we got it down to outside the cove, and then I got into a reasonable, you know, area to get it. Shut the motor off, kind of sat there for a little bit. You know, once it came back up over the water, I took it, you know, gave it the old finisher, and then brought it back to brought the boat back to the cove and continued hunting that day. And then we had some divers work on us. It was insane to watch because they're so organized in their flight for some reason. It's like jets, military jets. It's crazy. So we had this group of this flock of like 4 or 5, I want to say goldeneye, work right over us and around. And once they did the turnaround and got from right to left, Tyler was able to tag one, and it was a hen goldeneye. So that was a cool one to go. So that day we walked out with 3 ducks. That was really cool. Following weeks, I went out. I ended up getting a coot, which was amazing because I did not think I'd get one ever. But hey, what's wrong with a swamp chicken? Am I right? I mean, hey, we got one. I got a lesser scaup bluebill, which was pretty cool. It was getting its colors, but still a lesser. And then following weekend or following day, the days are just, you know, when you're waking up at 3 a.m. every day, they start to mold into each other. You just know that that's time to wake up and go hunting. But I ended up getting a pair of hooded mergansers and another teal, which is insane because it's starting to get into November, you know, and teal are usually like out. Them and pintail are like them and shovelers as well. We do have some shovelers here once in a while. Some of the local photographers that I've spoken with, I believe the woman at Hog Island Market, if she ever sees this, amazing photography. Thank you for sharing your work. But she said there was a pair of northern shovelers that come up during the springtime, which was cool. But once the brisk Vermont weather comes in, it's instant. They just go, and it's unfortunate. That's one of my dream birds is to get a full colored northern shoveler drake. That would be amazing. Oh man, that's a prize. Several weeks later, I ended up going to a spot near my house. I ended up going out solo. Felt a little bit more comfortable doing so. And we went across... Where did I go? I went across a whole bay and into a giant area that was probably about 4 feet deep at most. So I was able to walk around waders comfortable and walk out hundreds of yards out. Probably about 120 yards to be exact. Let's see... I think you could walk about 120 yards out before there's a huge drop from where you park your boat. But about 5 yards, 10 yards in front of me, I started off doing mallards, puddle ducks out into a giant horseshoe, and then I kept the geese off to the left, and my one pintail Larry, he was out with the geese, and then mojos were on the right, as if signaling mallards to come in against the wind, and then I had a long line of scup. Yeah, I had a long line of greater scup straight ahead out as far as I can outside my spread. And I had a flock of common mergansers. These things were like... It was like a good sized fish, man. I mean, like these common mergansers is like something out of Jurassic Park. So this thing comes whomping in. It was like 6 or 7 of them. I tagged one as soon as they landed. The rest took off. Got her, and then as soon as I got back in my boat, I feel like I had two hen bufflehead land right in my long line spread, and right at the end of it, I feel like that's always a big thing is they land right at the end of your long line, and it swam in towards the opening of what I created in my decoys. I was able to get one, the other one took off, but still, first bufflehead, first common merganser, biggest diver, smallest diver, wicked fun. I mean, that was a great experience. After that was the time, it was quite the adventure to say the least, but when I took my buddy Alex, angling with Alex out, we fought weather. I definitely did not think that it was going to be that cold. The equipment and the batteries were definitely not up to par with it when you ended up needing to get help. That was the day that we shot the duck with the geolocator. And we had other opportunities. I mean, I really wish we could have stayed. But unfortunately, with the weather being the way it is, my trolling motor wouldn't even go all the way down. It was just ice building up everywhere. I think it was like a wind chill of like 4 or 9 or something like that. So it was really, really bad, and we should have just called it early. But with that, it's part of the trial and error. And Alex being newer to waterfowl is definitely something. I told him, like, there are so many days I go sit in the blind just to get peace of mind, and I don't even get a duck. I might see one, hundreds and hundreds of yards out, or even divers. I mean, we see huge pods of divers just sitting out in front of us hundreds and hundreds of yards out, and that's all you'll see. but even that's good clarity. And with hard work and dedication to the sport, I mean, it pays off. I mean, we ended up going out in a field guided hunt out in New York with the Eastern Mountain View, I believe it was, and it was a great time. I mean, to say the least, it was a great time. I mean, great people, Ian, Alex, all those guys. I mean, Andrew. It was good. Calvin, those guys were a time, and it was a long morning and a lot of work. But I think we stacked up like 14 ducks and 14 geese and 30 ducks. Got a couple pintails out of it. Bunch of mallards piled up on the mallards. And then I got a huge Canada that day, and he, I think it's he. I mean, weighed in at like 14.8, 14.9. I mean, there's some bigger Canada. I've seen some Canadas at like 18 pounders, which is insane. It's like a turkey. But I mean, second season and getting something that's almost 15 pounds. That's crazy. That's a grater. And thing was huge. It was from like my shoulder down to my knee. And I really want to put that on the wall too. That's another one. But with me with taxidermy. Probably one of the last times I went out duck hunting solo off of the shore. There was a blind that was literally practically ripped in half. At that point, I mean, the water has been so indecisive here in Vermont with the floods, the hot, the cold, the ice overs, the no ice overs. I went out and ended up getting a black duck, gorgeous black duck, in my freezer. If you want to check out a quick little video, like identity video of it, I have it on my Instagram at Mooseman Outdoors. Just a quick clip, but it's gorgeous, gorgeous duck. And there's been a lot of black ducks this year. I follow a lot of photographers out in Canada, and hybrids, mallards, black ducks. I feel like that's been in abundance this year, and that's awesome to see that the numbers are going up. Yeah, I mean, that was the gist of it. That this year has been absolutely stellar when it comes to what we've been doing. From just experimenting with decoys all the way to getting decoys, refurbishing them, practicing your calls, getting like the calls, just getting out there, getting the groan, getting that extra like reverb in your call. You're putting the work on the call. The call is gonna get broken in. The reeds are gonna break over. Just practice. I mean, I was on car rides from Vermont to Massachusetts to go visit my family, and I'd practice. I mean, I probably drove my dog Moose nuts, but you know what? It paid off this year. Skeet shooting with my buddy Danny back home, or just really taking the time to understand leading your shot. I ended up getting a Tacticam 6.0 on sale at Dick's because they're getting rid of all their hunting stuff. Shame on you. But at least they're gonna amp up on their fishing stuff, which is not bad. But yeah, I'm hoping to get that on the barrel next year. I also got the GoPro ready to go. I got the Canon ready to go. So I'm hoping to get a lot of outdoor stuff. Tomorrow, I'm actually going pheasant hunting. I'm hoping to get some good footage with that. Going out with a couple buddies, Matt Kemp, going out with my buddy Alex. I think his buddy Justin's going out as well. And it's going to be a hell of a time. I mean, the update was there's a lot of birds on the property. I'm excited for that. I mean, old Betsy shotgun's ready for that too. And then spring turkey is coming around the corner. I'm so excited for that, and hopefully get some footage out with that too. The lake right now, as far as I can tell, has been inconsistent. Somebody put a Kubota through the ice the other day, and me and my buddy Tyler were out there jigging and tip up fishing, and there was some ice, good ice, bad ice, but a lot of cracking. I know some cracks opened up in the lake, so just be careful if you're out there ice fishing. I just really hope that next year with waterfowl, it's gonna be a big turnaround when it comes to knowing what to do quick. Little extra things I got. I mean, some motorized decoys. I got like 4 mojos ready to go. Hoping to get a couple agitators in the mix. I got a confidence decoy this past year. I used it a couple times. I don't know if anyone has luck with blue heron decoys in their spread, or at least off to the side. That's what I did. Was I kept them at like 20 yards to the right or 20 yards to the left from my spread, just so ducks can see that and be like, hey, you know, there's a bird down here that's managing a chill time, so I'm gonna come join too. Like I said, practicing the calls, huge thing. Hammering on the goose call, you know, go out to the lake, just have fun with it. One thing I also got to do, because I want to use as much as the bird as I can, I ended up making my own little version of taxidermy. So I took the shotgun shells of which I shot my birds with, cut them down in half, you know, and I preserved the foot, got the foot all webbed out, and then I kept the tail feather from the pintail. Or in this case down here, I kept the teal. I obviously had to cut the shotgun shell way down, but it worked out. And then I got the coot, the mallard, the black, you know, the scup, all these different, you know. It's a cool little trophy when you don't want to go out and spend $400 or $500 on a bird, but you know, you get what you pay for. I mean, like I said, there's great taxidermists out there, like Bob, Top of the Knoll, all those guys. I mean, Vermont has an abundance of good, you know, taxidermists that do birds and all these other things. And you know, I don't know. I never shipped any taxidermy before. I don't know if I've ever. I'd be nervous the entire time doing it, but I mean, I do it. I mean, I have a hooded merganser in the freezer that I'd love to get mounted because they're just beautiful birds. But besides that, I mean, this year's been good. The grizzly treated me well. I have like a 1980 something Lund 10-footer John boat that I had back home. I repainted that. If you want to check out the paint job I did on that, was sick. If you want to check out the paint job I did on that, go on Instagram under mooseman.outdoors. I ended up getting a weed whacker 2 horsepower motor type of thing for it because the current out here gets pretty bad. So that was really cool. Always wear your life vests. You don't want to be baptized in some swamp. Take it from me. What else is there? We can. I just want to say, you know, thank you to the friends that took the time to really talk to me. My buddy Andy Dizitel always gave out good advice. Some of the photographers that talked to me about birds and how they act, and you know, or the videos that you guys put out. You know, and if anyone sees that, you know, this video that has put out videos about duck hunting, I thank you as well. You know, doing your homework is a big part of getting good at this sport. I'm hoping to get more out there. I'm hoping to help friends get into it. I'm hoping to be able to get more ducks and more bands and seeing different variety. That's my big thing, is variety. And seeing the science behind why these birds act the way they do, why they decoy the way they do. I love to share stories, so if anyone out here in Vermont or anyone local or anyone even out in the country has a great story to tell about a great hunt. You know, I saw pictures out on Band Hunters on Facebook. I'm sure someone's seen it, but this kid got like 4 or 5 mallards, double bands. Like, that's crazy. Like, stuff like that is like the omen. Or the guy who got the mandarin duck field hunting, you know, or a guy who took a picture of a northern shoveler with a backpack GPS. Those things are what redefine us as duck hunters and what makes us ambition to do these things. So with that being said, I'm Matt with Mooseman Outdoors. I'll see you on the next adventure. Next episode is probably going to be about fishing, more than likely. So we'll go ahead and talk about that, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.